Hello guys, I'm here with this beautiful 1,000-year-old Sierra Juniper I collected in the Sierra Nevada, and I wait for you in March 21st, 2020 to do a great demonstration of this beautiful material. See you at Superfly Bonsai. I give time to all the people to connect, get comfortable, take a beer, glass of wine, and get ready to go for this demo. I was looking forward to work on this tree for the last 2 years since I collected. I was with my friend Ned in North California, and Ned told me, I found a tree 6 years ago. It's a little bit big, and I was never brave enough to go and try to collect it. And so I said, you know what, let's do it. So early morning, 5 o'clock, wake up, we drove like 5 hours up to the mountain, and we went looking at this tree. This tree was growing maybe 15 feet, around 30 meters down the hill from the road, and between some boulders, big boulders, so where some soil was able to stop from the hill sliding down, and the tree was able to survive in that condition for many, many years. In that valley there are amazing pieces of material, big Sierra Juniper, and the amazing thing of Sierra Juniper is the quality of the Deadwood. You can see on this tree the Deadwood in the lower part of the trunk, of the base, is so characteristic, so beautiful, a lot of fantastic details, and we have nice and short live lines. Originally, when we collected the tree, some higher branches were still alive, but we want to, improve the tree to push in the lower part to create a nice, very compact design. So today the goal is to give the first setting at the structure, the ramification, create the primary branches. We need to bend some branches in this big negative space. I'm going to do also some work on the Deadwood in the top part of the tree. I want to compress the visual of this tree in the lower part, so I kind of don't need too much of this tension, so I will be breaking them down. In the meantime, we have a beautiful low branch here that we let develop, and as soon as we cut this part last year, the tree was able to push energy in the lower part. Otherwise, normally, they tend to have a very high apical dominance, especially on some dominant branches. So what we're going to do will be put some raffia, start laying down the branches, open, creating structure. I have basically 3 live lines that support the green of the tree. You can see the frontal one kind of short, going in this section. The second one that does a nice twist that goes in this part, that probably will be the apex of my tree around this section. And then we have another live line in the back that support all these green that will create still some other side branches, plus also branches in this section that at the moment is empty. I don't want to create a tree all in one side. I want to create kind of a formal style sitting on top of this big massive trunk. So I need to rebuild a little bit the proportion between the two parts, filling this negative space. So today I have with me my friend Mike Andrews, the birthday boy. It's his birthday today, so we're gonna celebrate his birthday with a good demo on a Sierra Juniper. Mike, you can join me on stage. So Mike will start putting some raffia on this branch. We do some cleaning and we start building our way up to the top of the tree. If there is any question, anytime, any language, no problem. Spanish, Portuguese, French, English, maybe Italian also. We'll try. Okay, guys? So enjoy. So, Mike, we're gonna start cleaning a little bit this branch. Take the scissor. So, what we're gonna do, juniper tend to have a lot of back body in the crotches. So, some of them, for the competition, they die. So, we're gonna cut them away. Some other, they start developing some strength. We're gonna keep so we can also build some volume when we create the structure of the branch. When we lay down the branch, everything is underneath or eventually flopping down. We will try to use a piece of wire to lift it up, give nice sun and light, and eventually, if something is really flopping down and is debil, we're going to cut it away. Question?
Someone's asking, why don't you repot into a smaller pot?
So, when we collect this beast, and we actually have to work 4 hours to get it out of the original place, because we have to move a couple of big boulders, especially a big boulder that was almost on top of this part of the tree, and we had to move it. Probably was like a 300 kilo boulder, so we have to work with a rebar around to be able to, because normally what they do, they shoot roots under those big rocks because they find a little bit of moisture, especially during summer, that up in the mountain is very, very dry. So those roots go under to kind of find fresh soil. We have to move that boulder. And when we went back home, and we had a lot of roots connected to this big kind of stump. We need also a little bit of a height. So what we do, we found this kind of growing pot, fancy growing pot, and we repot the tree there because we was more interested on making the tree to survive rather than go in a smaller pot as possible. Now, the next step will be in 1 or 2 years, take the tree out. Normally what happens, Sierra will regrow a lot of very fine roots from the base of the live lines. So we will be able to take this tree out, eventually short some old tap roots that we had to cut in the moment that when we collected the tree, and we can go either in a smaller pot or in a wood box or eventually, best scenario, in a final bonsai pot. Okay? So, any other question? No? Good. So, I will start breaking down this big gin. So, the fiber of Sierra Juniper is very, very different from the fiber of a, for example, Rocky Mountain, or eventually, for compare with another species with pines. Fiber of pines tend to stretch. The fiber of the Rocky, when they dry out, they tend to be very, very brutal. So that's the reason why we can see all these very short deadwood, because what's happened in nature, when these branches die and they have a lot of pressure in winter for the snow, they just crash and explode. That's the reason why the deadwood is so short.
Anthony Rakowski asked, how long of a process is it to shorten roots?
So, it's not how long, I mean, when we collect the tree, we try to bring out as many roots as possible to make the tree to survive. Eventually, as I said, because the tree is willing, and this is a characteristic of Sierra juniper, Utah juniper, California juniper, in nature, they grow in such a harsh and dry climate, especially in summer. They have these big tap roots that go down. So when you cut those tap roots, the tree is able, with the energy still have on the foliage, to shoot out a lot of fine roots from the base of these tap roots. So in 1 or 2 repot, it's easy to remove almost completely what left from the roots in the mountain and have the tree just growing with a nice root ball of fine roots. This is a crazy and phenomenal characteristic of the American juniper. Very different from the European juniper, especially Sabina junipers. Okay? Yeah, if you can, let me see. Try to do a loop even around here so we can protect. Let me cut away this knob so you can go on top of it. Oh, you have the. Yeah, there is a little knob there, Deadwood. Perfect. So what Mike just asked me is how I want the raffia to go on the branch. So thinking of the movement of the branch, it has to go down and forward. That means the wire will be counterclockwise. We also put raffia counterclockwise. So everything of the kind of a cast we build around the branch on the moment of bending will go towards the observer, and we'll tighten it down with the wire, and we'll secure the fiber to eventually open or break when we bend the branch. Yes, a question.
Roy is asking, do you prefer to keep the foliage native on larger trees, or will this eventually be grafted?
So this is the big dilemma, kind of, with the American trees. You know, here in US there are a lot of different variety of juniper, and the same variety has different subspecies according to the place where they grow. Tendency of most of the American juniper is to have a very thick foliage. As you mentioned, it's not a big deal if you have a massive tree. When you downsize the trees, obviously the Sierra foliage or California foliage will be a little too thick. So eventually you can think about grafting the juniper. Obviously, if we want to have the best foliage ever, and recently I was talking about that in the trophy when I worked one of my big juniper that was originally a sonare, so a procumbens, and I grafted Itoigawa. You know, if you want to have the best foliage, sure, graft Itoigawa or Kishi, because they shoot longer, stronger, they never lose inner strength from the inner part of the branches, and they are always willing to hold. Because the other problem is on trees like these, on the fine branches, we always have to keep them wired, fine wired, to support the weight of the foliage. Differently, those Japanese variety that have the tendency of growing nice and compact with thick foliage, but fine internodes, they tend to be able to hold themselves pretty well. So you can reach a point when the tree almost doesn't have any wire. I always like to create the structure of a tree, and then eventually we can always go back without having lost any time, because we can sign graft on the structure and just change the foliage from there. We don't need to approach graft here and restart a tree from zero.
Andrew is asking if you will leave the deadwood natural or if you'll process it over time.
So I love how the Deadwood, especially on Sierra Juniper, aged and get this natural gray color. Actually, you can see how this part and this part originally were alive. This was a part of the main low live line that probably the snow detached, but was still connected to the roots. Unfortunately, the part was already very, very weak when we collect the tree and died. And this is the same. I was hoping to have this alive because when I collect the tree and I was trying to figure out an idea, I thought it could be cool to have kind of a double trunk, but unfortunately, probably also the live line connected to this section was very weak and slowly this section died back. But if you think that this was alive only 2 years ago and now we never gave lime sulfur, we just cleaned the bark and it's already nice and kind of white gray. So I don't think it's very necessary to give lime sulfur and bright up the color of this tree. Obviously, what I always advise is if you have some part that tend to be a little bit spongy and try to absorb moisture too much, you can always go through and use wood hardener to preserve. Or eventually, if you have some algae start growing on the Deadwood, you can have one of those water guns, pressure water guns, and clean everything out. But only sun and light, they will help preserve the Deadwood pretty well.
Hector's asking, which wood hardener do you recommend?
Who? We have any here?
PC petrifier is pretty common.
Okay, guys, so you said that because I don't know how to say that. Tell again on the.
Yeah, PC petrifier, we don't sell it, but it's available. That's what most people I know use. Do you know anyone else, Mike? Anything else to use?
No, that's the only one I use. It's like once a year you gotta put it in.
Yeah, especially the lower parts that are connected to the soil. Here. Luckily, you can't see, unfortunately, I can't turn the tree. The back part has a big hole, and there is this section here that is kind of higher from the soil level, so it will be easier to preserve it because everything is suspended. This was a very big roots that died, you had to cut originally. So for the ones of you that don't know, Superfly Bonsai is basically online shop that you can find on superflybonsai.com. They ship all over US. They have everything you can ever think for bonsai, apart wood hardener, but all the rest they have. And they sell beautiful pots, they sell bonsai material, tools, a lot of tools. My tool set is from Superfly Bonsai, very good tools. And we're going to show you later some of the products that Superfly Bonsai can provide to you. So slowly, I'm gonna short down this section. problems that these juniper have, because the live wood is kind of very open, and the fiber of the wood tend to be open. That's the reason why the juniper in this living part is kind of very flexible. Is that most of the time, especially in spring, they get attacked by borers. This is one of the main problems. You can see, and actually, unfortunately, I can do a close-up, but this section has a lot of old channels of borers along this ridge with a lot of dust, because again, they tend to go inside of the tree, dig around live lines, and they tend to attack live lines because obviously it's easier to, you know, carve their way through the wood and eat the softer wood. So we need to be very careful, and always my advice is when the growing season starts, it's always good to use some preventive product that you can either spray on the tree, systemic, or there are same products that you can use kind of like a fertilizer. There are little balls, blue balls. The tree can absorb from the roots and become venomous for those borers, and you can solve the problem or prevent the problem. That's very important. Any question, Andy?
No questions.
No question, perfect. So I keep going on the Deadwood. There is some bark I wanna clean out, and then we're gonna put the first. Yeah. So using a Rudy band to clean the bark. You can also buy the Rudy band on Superfly website. It's very useful to remove the old bark from the branches. It's always good to remove the old bark from the deadwood, because on the dead branches we risk that the bark staying on the wood doesn't allow the deadwood to breathe, and so if the moisture stick underneath the bark, the branches can start rotting, and we can eventually lose them. So it's always good. I always like to clean the bark from these old parts. Another problem, apart borers, that you can have on California juniper most of all, or other junipers down in LA, more like hotter places, are like termite. So termites can reach the deadwood of the tree through the soil, and they can dig inside. They don't dig on the live wood, but they can dig so much of the hardwood, making almost the cambium so thin that then the branches start having problem. And even more, on the channels that they develop, the moisture start staying there, and you can get fungi disease. So There are some interesting products that actually I was showing on one of my videos on my YouTube channel. If you look at the termite Juniper, that's the name of the video. I was showing some interesting video where you can go through some little, you call straws with the product, and it's like a foam. So you stick inside this foam, the foam expand and it's venomous, so you can get rid of the problem. So eventually, if you see some holes on the deadwood or on the wood of your juniper, and you feel there is an attack of borers or termite, you can find those products, go inside, and you can take care of them.
We have a question in Italian.
In Italian, I come and I read it. Yeah, you can't read Italian. Let me see. No, it's Spanish.
Spanish, sorry.
Okay. El tronco seco que está a tu lado, Mauro, ¿lo vas a cortar? Okay. The question is, you probably understand well, is that this trunk, so you are asking if I want to cut this trunk. No. This is, for me, a very important part of the entire composition. My goal in time, using some length of the branches growing in this section, is to visually connect the two trunks in one image together. I think this will be a very important part of the entire composition. So I don't want to either reduce or touch it. I like it how it is. Eventually, this last part can be break down a little bit better because we have this older one. Is nice. This is just chopped, so probably I'm gonna just reduce this a little bit. Maybe taking away this section and keeping the outside part that is older. But I definitely want to keep this part because I feel is part of the story of the tree and I want to preserve it. Yeah. So we have nice, interesting gene in this section. You can already see that by shorting down this stronger, visually stronger piece, you can have more interesting up on these gene that are kind of also older. And I want to just reduce the taper of this one. A better proportion. As I said, we need to be careful when we break down this gene because it's not like the wood of a pine or of a younger juniper that you can kind of peel out. It tends to really break, brutally break, so you don't want to lose all the gene. Let me take care of this guy too now, a little bit. You see how it breaks down. Again, take away the inner part. This section is pretty cool here. It's good to have a little bit more space between the two sections here. This one too, we can take out what was left when we collect the tree. Need to be careful on this section because it's a little bit delicate. You don't want to rip it down from the main lab line. As you see, it breaks down pretty well. And reduce a little bit, rebuild the taper on the outside part.
Andrew is asking if this tree stays in position.
Yeah, we're not gonna tilt the tree. we have a pretty massive base that goes from here to here where we have the live line. So we don't need to tilt it. It's in a pretty good position. As I said, now we're going to put the first main wire. We're going to anchor somewhere here with a piece of wire counterclockwise and start wiring all this section to start creating the first pad. Probably at the end of the work, we'll also go through and reselect a little bit this section of the live line. I have a nice movement here of the live line going up here, but I want to define the live line a little bit better.
I have a question in a language I don't speak.
Sorry again?
Another question in a language I don't speak. So.
You have to learn languages, that's important.
I'll work on that right
You
now.
are a business owner. Ok, it's from Ecuador, adesso un programma potente, grazie por compartir. If there is not a question mark, no problem. Thank you guys for following from all over the world. Un saludo a Ecuador, espero estar ahí pronto, un día. Vamos a ver si este coronavirus me lo permita, porque ahora con todos estos problemas va a ser un problema tomar aviones y moverse. Vamos a ver, espero un día poder visitar. Muchas gracias. Okay.
And Jim would like to know.
Who?
Jim Doyle.
Jim Doyle. I will visit you tonight, my friend. Don't worry, I will be there.
He says, what do you think this tree is feeling turning into a bonsai? Oh, into bonsai art, excuse me.
I mean, so I think that there is a big controversy every time I go up in the mountain and I collect a tree that is probably 800, 1,000 year old. And, you know, the main purpose is to have a beautiful piece of material to create a bonsai art. So there is a lot of critics about collecting trees in the mountain. I feel that we are doing that eventually to save a tree that one day, sooner or later, is going to die. And, you know, if we know properly how to work on the tree and to take care of the tree, we can really transform these in a piece of art that can make people to learn more about trees and about bonsai, about the beautiful art of bonsai, through a art form that is just amazing. So I don't think this tree has feelings, but I see that he's happy because since we collected, and probably the tree was at his last chapter of his life, because he has really, really few green left, and probably in another 10, 20 years the tree was going to die, because you can see how the tree was originally grow, and then slowly the nature kind of chopped the tree back. So now the tree got his second chance of life, and he's pretty happy about that. So hopefully we're gonna do a good job, and this will be a beautiful bonsai one day, and everyone can really enjoy it, especially Andy, that is the owner of the tree. So let's put the first piece of wire up to that branch. Sure. Virgin. So what we're gonna do? Put two pieces of wire. Yeah, you take another one a little bit longer. You don't really need to put a monster piece of wire on this branch. It would be not the wire bending the branch, but I will bend it down using a guy wire, probably holding to the pot. So I want just two pieces of wire to hold the fiber and be proportionate to this secondary branches. I have the work. Yes.
So is after today's styling, is there potential for the tree to be stressed out? And if so, what will be done to manage it?
So obviously manipulation on trees is stress, but as high is our technique, as better we can manage all the technique that we apply to the tree to transform the shape of the tree in the future shape of the bonsai, better and safer is for the tree. So better we can protect the branch, better we can wire the branch in the proper way, that will be less stress for the tree. As aftercare, this is a pretty simple work. We bending down branches and create a shape. We are not detaching live line. Follow always the main line of the branch rather than the little one. So we're not going to detach any live line to bend or carve the wood inside. That would be more stressful. Either we are not repotting the tree, so without giving stress to the foliage and to the roots at the same time. So the aftercare will be pretty simple.
When you see the trees in nature, such as this one, do you already see it in your mind? What'll be in the final styling? Is it part of your yamandori selection process?
Do you look for trunk or do you look for?
So when I go in nature, I look for trees that have a lot of character, especially when I collect for myself. I love trees with a lot of character. And definitely when Ned, my friend, showed me this tree, I can really see the potential of the tree. Actually, this section was kind of buried down the ground. You can see that, actually, I can see, I will put picture later, but this section has more damage from being in contact with the ground. But already looking at this part that was pretty much exposed, I can understand that this tree had a big potential. As I said, the foliage was very long, but the characteristic of these trees is that they are always willing to reshoot from crotches. So imagine that this is all new foliage that the tree produce after we collect it. So I knew for sure this tree had a fantastic potential. And every time I go and collect trees in nature, the main tree I look is the trunk of the tree. Because in terms of branches, either way, you can always bend the branches, graft the tree and everything. What you can't do, or is more difficult to do, is this. Mother Nature, very difficult to mimic.
On that same question line when you're ready.
So, now, this is something interesting for Mike too. In terms of wiring, these guys, we're gonna a little bit use a thicker wire because we have very long branches, thin but floppy. So we need to give support. So it's different to wire the tree for the first time or to rewire a tree that was already wired. Because here we are setting down the structure, so we need the strength from the wire to be able, in one shot, to put the branch down. We don't want to put weak wire, and then we have to insist and force, because every time we try to bend the branch is a stress for the fiber of the branches, and the branch lose moisture. So when we wire, then we want to be sure we go down and set that branch. One shot. Okay? Another question? Beautiful.
This was no problem. What features of the tree will you be looking for in order to decide the direction and flow of the tree?
So for junipers, my goal is always try to highlight the better deadwood, and in the meantime have a live line. I will never choose a front of a tree, either only for the live line or only for the deadwood. On a juniper, I want always to choose a front when these two parts match visually. And for this tree, this is the better front in my opinion. We have the older deadwood here, and we have the start of the live line in the side, and another live line that twists kind of in the middle spot. You can't see much now, but when we're going to push down this branch, we're going to open this spot with this live line moving up to what will be our top. So I always try to match the two things together. Hopefully, you know, in this tree it's possible. Some other tree we have to change drastically the angle sometime to be able to have that. Another question?
Yeah. A couple, actually. When would you suggest beginning heavy fertilization?
So, in general, we have always to think in which stage our trees are and which trees we are fertilizing. So, for this tree, let's talk about this material. Where's the wire cutter? You stole from me. Upper. So, for this tree, my advice is that after the styling, I will start with the fertilization right away. We are in spring, the tree is going to push, it's going to push strong. We want to always to have the tree high in energy, to don't risk that, you know, some damage we did on the styling can affect some branches. So if the sap is running around with energy and we have a good amount of foliage to keep doing photosynthesis, the fiber of the wood will recover pretty soon. So on this tree I will start, because also we haven't touched the roots, we can start fertilizing soon, in a week. So if we repot a tree, I always advise to wait until the tree starts fleshing out, and then this means also some fine roots are growing, and then you can start fertilizing. Always according to the stage of the tree, we have to analyze what we want to do, in which stage is the tree, and then understand which kind of fertilizer. We want to be high in nitrogen? No, we want to give a more mild fertilizer if the tree is finished. On a tree like this, we can still go a little bit high in nitrogen because we want energy. We want the tree to be strong. We want the tree to produce wood and fix the position of the branches. The first year, after a heavy styling or the first styling, I always still go high in nitrogen. Maybe 844, some fertilizer around that. I use Prodigy in Europe. I use other type of fertilization. I use Ultra from my friends up in Germany. Very good fertilizer to have the tree very strong. After that, when the structure is set and you start getting rid of the thick wire and you have to work on the fine vegetation, I slow down nitrogen and I go for more very basic fertilizer, Anavocoro, BioGold, Green King, 554, 454, depend. Any other question?
I don't know.
Beautiful. So Mike, now we have the structure here, boom. You can take a seat, and then you have the wire here, and you start the boom, and you wire everything. Try to go up to finish all the line with fine wire, so we're gonna have everything nice and ready for the position. Okay, so that is gonna go. Now I'm gonna clean this section here. Yeah, you can, yeah, exactly. You can go, yeah, for that branch, this branch, you can go with this guy here. Yes, perfect. Okay, so we're doing a little bit of explanation in Spanish also. So, recolecté este junípero hasta 2 años en la montaña del norte de California, en la Sierra Nevada. Es un Sierra Juniper, es una variedad azul de junípero. Me gusta mucho este tipo de junípero por su color y la fuerza que tiene visualmente en la madera muerta. Lo que vamos a hacer hoy es el primer estilizado y empezamos ya protegiendo la primera rama y alambrando la estructura. Y ahora Mike está alambrando toda la ramita fina, así podemos bajar después la rama y crear la primera rama. Vamos a mover el árbol con una dirección hasta la izquierda, pero en el mismo tiempo quiero tener alguna rama como esta y una que viene de atrás por empezar a construir también verde en este espacio negativo, porque quiero conectar visualmente la madera muerta de este que era un segundo tronco que se murió y la madera principal del árbol grande visualmente con el verde y el diseño total del árbol. Si tiene alguna pregunta in spagnolo, in italiano, tutto quello che volete. Una piccola spiegazione in italiano per i miei amici in Italia. Allora, ho raccolto questo giunipero Sierra 2 anni fa nel nord della California. La particolarità di questo tipo di ginepro è che hanno un legno secco molto vecchio, molto importante. Questa pianta in particolare da questo lato ha un bellissimo legno secco con questi 2 tronchi, quasi un madre e figlio. Questo tronco originariamente era vivo, ma purtroppo la vena corrispondente è morta nel periodo di attecchimento, ma lo conserviamo come parte del legno secco per il disegno generale della pianta. Abbiamo già protetto il ramo principale con della raffia e del nastro agglomerante, messo il filo principale nella direzione di piega, quindi il ramo scenderà e andrà verso il fronte, quindi il filo è in direzione antioraria, in modo che quando piegheremo il ramo il filo si stringerà alla fibra del legno, non permettendole eventualmente di aprirsi. Ho lavorato un po' nella parte alta dei gin, riducendoli e creando una parte di interesse che con il disegno finale si possa ben accompagnare alla parte bassa, che ovviamente è la parte più importante della pianta. Voglio sviluppare un po' della ramificazione da questo ramo che vedete in questo punto e un ramo o 2 dal retro in questa zona. Sono ancora abbastanza corti, ma con il tempo cresceranno e possiamo riempire questo spazio negativo creando l'inizio del nostro triangolo, scendendo poi sulla sinistra seguendo il movimento del primo ramo, visto che tutta la composizione, partendo da questo G al tronco principale e al ramo principale, vanno verso sinistra. Per qualunque cosa, qualunque domanda, no problem. Bene. So while we are wiring the first branch, and then we're gonna also start setting in position. So the goal is first branch, set, second, set, and up until we reach the top. We are not in a rush to do everything together. We want to really drive you through the styling of this tree, explaining every single step so everyone can learn. I want to also show you something very special that here at Superfly they are on sale. So there are beautiful kurama made from a friend in Colombia, and they are on sale on superflybonsai.com website. There are many different shapes, many different size. They are beautiful for kind of extreme bonsai. They are very, very well detailed. So you can see the color, very natural, all the details done in the lips, and they are very, very cool pieces that, you know, if you have a tree with kind of a cascade, semi-cascade style, they look very, very beautiful. I will show you a couple of other ones. This is one of the bigger one. You can see nice, nice detail, nice texture, nice color, very nice color. So this is another pretty cool one. They are made with inside old for the wire. So when you put your tree, you have a lot of anchoring points. Nice big, you know, hole for drainage. But we have also some more flat ones. Pretty cool. This is nice, kind of a purple color, maybe for a windswept style or a little forest, large forest. Very, very nice. And to finish, we have also some little ones for kusamono or smaller tree. Beautiful, also very well refined and detailed. They look like pretty old stones, you can see. So if you go on the website and you go on this pot section, you can find this one plus another big range of either American pots, European pots, and Japanese pots. Ding!
Tim Priest wants to know if one of those would work for his fur.
His fur? Ah, actually, yeah. So, we have to look, Tim, but I don't remember if your fur moved to the right or to the left, but this size-wise, I think could be an interesting one. Probably after the live we can chat and have a look. This actually has the double front. You see, you can use this front in case the tree goes down to the left, or either this one if the tree goes to the right. So both sides are very well refined. Actually, this is pretty cool. I don't remember. I think your tree goes down to the left, but anyway, we will chat and have a look. This is pretty cool piece.
Moves left.
Left, so yeah, that could be an interesting pot. So you can write Andy directly and you know, check it out. Pretty cool. So let me. Sorry, guy. I don't care. If he says, says. I want a question in Italian. Una domanda in italiano, ragazzi, forza. Animatevi.
Frank Mihalik wants to know how much that pot was.
Who asked?
Frank Mihalik.
I think it's around $1,000, something like that. Yeah. But again, check with Andy for all the prices. I'm just the dummy guy for the demo. That's crazy. So we kill this section in September, take away all the live line in the lower part, and the top is still alive. You see? Look, it's growing. No, it's growing. I mean, it means the sap is able to go up still from the hardwood, even if there is no bark. Fantastic.
Andrew wants to know what kind of pot we put this in eventually.
I will go with a nice rectangular, kind of very formal style to really hold the visual weight of the tree. I will not go with something strange, and either I will not go with the oval. I will go pretty straight, nice rectangular pot. So yeah, there are either good artists here in the US, or we can have a look for a nice Japanese one. So who knows? It would be expensive anyway because it's a big tree. So I need to take care of this gin. That again was another old top branch that we kind of sacrificed to give more energy to this section here. But we can create a nice, nice gin. Again, my Rudy band helps me working on this section. I'll leave it. No problem. We have a little bit more green. Then we can still go in the future and reselect, but we'll keep. Break down the fiber. So this part that was still alive, I can stretch down the fiber of the wood. But as I said, on the old Deadwood, it became pretty brutal. But on this section, still have the chance to break it down, following the natural direction of the fibers of the wood. When I finish the cleaning with my double blade knife,
Got a question for you here.
beautiful.
You're gonna have to come over.
Is it Spanish?
Possibly.
Possibly Spanish. Okay. Or maybe Italian.
I'd go with Italian.
You think it's Italian?
I do, but I don't know.
Okay, let's see. So, no, es Spanish. Después de este trabajo lo deja descansar y lo trasplanta el año que viene. Okay. So, see, so the question is, after this work, I'm gonna let the tree set for a year and repot next year. The answer is yes. I generally never work a tree, the foliage and the roots at the same time, only if the roots of the tree are already nice and compact, and I know they are nice and compact, I eventually can slip pot in a better container, easier to move around eventually. On this tree, as I said, because I probably gonna have to shorten some of the old tap roots, I prefer to wait a year and next year, away from this work on the roots. So, lo que voy a hacer es esperar un año, dejar descansar el árbol, y porque ya sé que cuando me tocará remacetarlo, tocaré un poco de la raíz larga que el árbol tenía cuando lo recolectamos. El próximo año lo voy a sacar de la maceta, mantener el par radical que está más compacto en la zona de la vena viva y eventualmente reducir las raíces más largas por poderlo poner en una maceta. Si tengo un árbol que ya tiene un cepellón compacto, eventualmente si quiero lo puedo remacetar el mismo año. Lo que yo siempre aviso es distinguir las dos partes. Un año o 6 meses hacer el trabajo y después remacetar. Aquí necesitamos sacarlo de esta maceta porque es difícil de moverlo, debemos todavía trabajar en la altura del cepellón, así el próximo año, en primavera, antes que el árbol empiece a brotar mucho, lo sacaremos de aquí, más o menos en esta temporada, y empezaremos a ponerlo en una maceta adecuada, en una caja de madera más baja, reduciendo la altura del cepellón.
There is another one here for you to come over and take a look at. Do you have a chance?
Try to read. I want to see. I want to challenge your either Spanish or Italian.
Alrighty. Quando tempo.
Good.
I'm already done. Divi.
Devi.
Sarà dopo avere raccolto.
Ok, perfetto.
Alberto.
Quanto tempo devi aspettare dopo averlo raccolto? Very good. So, this tree was collected, let's say, that was September 2017. So, yes, it's been 2 years and a half now. I remember it was like 1st of September 2017. So, the tree did pretty well the first season. Sometime the first season they almost they don't put out any new green, but this one was already shooting the first year. So he had 2 entire growing season before this styling, and now he's starting the 3rd growing season. So it's generally the tree telling you when is the right time. So for the amount of foliage that the tree produces, for the amount of energy that the tree shows, you can decide when is the right time to start working on the tree. So I reply in Italian. I think that question was in Italian. So la pianta è stata raccolta in settembre del 2017, quindi sono passati 2 anni e mezzo circa. La pianta ha avuto 2 stagioni vegetative nel vaso da coltivazione. Possiamo vedere la forza che la pianta già sta esprimendo e quindi la pianta stessa ci dice ok, posso essere lavorata. A seconda della varietà sempre facciamo riferimento alla forza che ha la pianta, non è una questione di 2, 3, 4 anni. Per esempio un pino io lo lavoro solo quando inizia a produrre le 3 gemme nelle parti forti. Un ginepro, per esempio questo ginepro, già il primo anno dopo la raccolta aveva iniziato a vegetare in maniera abbondante. L'anno scorso aveva veramente vegetato molto e avevamo potuto tagliare le parti alte e la pianta ha creato molta ramificazione compatta. C'è molta energia visibile appunto dalle parti che cercano di crescere dalle ascelle, quindi ho ritenuto che quest'anno fosse un buon anno per poterla lavorare. Non mi piace mai forzare la lavorazione su un materiale che credo non sia pronto. Meglio aspettare un anno in più, non c'è fretta, l'importante è la sicurezza della pianta. Bene. Bueno, come si chiama il fratello di mia cugina Giuseppina? And I like your Italian. So now I want to get ready for Mike. The next, so I will skip wiring for today. I will have Mike to train on his wiring because it's his birthday. It's my birthday gift to Mike. Wire, wire, wire. So I will put just some thicker wire on this branch. That would be the next branch that Mike is gonna tackle. Okay, so luckily this branch has already a line down, so we basically have to wire just the side branches. We don't even have to put a main wire on the branch itself. So we have basically the primary branch and then 4 secondary. So I'm gonna wire 2 by 2 the secondary. I don't need any anchor to the main trunk because I'm not gonna move this branch at all. I'm just gonna open the secondary branches to create the structure of it.
I timed it better, but it was Italian.
Beautiful!
Next
You know,
time
more question in Italian. Più domande in italiano perché Andy deve praticare il suo italiano oggi. So you get a tree done and an Italian class. It's fantastic, huh?
All for one low price.
Yes, exactly. Pay one, get one for free.
Mm-hmm.
So, Andy, you know what? Why you don't introduce yourself to the people and talk a little bit about your company? That would be interesting. While I work busy, you can stand in front of the tree of that size.
All right.
No, yeah, exactly. Perfect.
What, are you saying I blocked some of it? I'm Andy, I'm the owner of Superfly Bonsai. We were going to have a big event today, expected probably about 100 people, but obviously due to the coronavirus we can't do that. So we kind of limited it to just us 3 today. We are currently still open because we're a nursery and Pennsylvania is pretty much shut down for the most part. You can still move around, but most businesses aren't open. So we're still open, doing this at least. We're open online, shipping stuff out still, taking care of the trees. We're a general supplier of bonsai supplies. We also have trees, pots from all over the world. Most things are available on our website, some things aren't. We'll have Akadama and Kanuma in the 5mm size back probably mid to late April. It's been very busy this year, earlier in the year due to the weather. And other than that, we're just pushing to get bonsai done, do the best bonsai we can, trying to make products available to the entire United States. We have free shipping over $99, so we can ship your soil out to you, no problem. $99, you don't have to pay anything for shipping anywhere in the continental U.S.
You wanna say a little bit about that? You have available my T-shirt.
Absolutely. We have Mario's T-shirts available, and they will be online, and it will be purchased shortly. Probably in a few minutes, I'll probably go and do that. And we also carry Mario's book.
Beautiful T-shirt. Yeah, also don't forget my book, Bonsai Dream, English and Italian. So for Andy to learn Italian, again, you know, can read my book. You learn that, and you are there actually.
I'm there too.
So, you are there too, is fun. Super. So yeah, Bonsai Dream, the book, very good. Like a lot of articles and styling, like we do today on the trees, and a nice article about wiring. So, again, I'm putting structural on these secondary branches coming from this line. We have some very strong branch growing on top. So what's happened is that having all this inner growth coming from the crotches, the tree has so much energy, and this is a particularity of Juniper. They hold a lot of energy in the crotches. They tend to have runners shooting up straight from those parts. You can see this one last year was just a branch like this. You can see another one here, for example. So when we have to build the tree, we can use those runners and open them because they will always carry energy. But we have to be careful. As soon as the tree is wired out and open, if it tries to produce more runners, we have to remove them as soon as they come out. Because the problem is, if we have a wired branch and we allow a runner to shoot from the inside, all the energy will be sucked by that section, and slowly the tree is going to lose interest from the wired branch. Obviously, because for the apical dominance, this part will catch all the light and the nutriments, and this will be weaker and weaker and weaker. But now that we're building structure, we need those suckers to build the bones of the tree. Yes?
It says how we make the uninteresting heavy gin at the top look more consistent with the wonderful age characteristics of the gin and the shari at the base of the tree.
Yes, so for now I just did an easy breaking down of this part, and obviously the gin look new. But as I said, this part that just died 2 years ago already by itself started cracking down. So there are different ways. If we want to speed up the process, we can either, when we build a new Deadwood on a Juniper, we can either sandblast, we can eventually use the fire to burn the outside fiber of the wood and then brush it. So I normally fire, get it the heat, and then I spray with water. So this change of temperature break down the wood and already start creating the natural lines that define the old Deadwood. Obviously, we can speed up the process a little bit with this different technique, but not as much as just let the tree outside, water, the rain comes, then the wood absorbs the rain, and then the sun dries it out. So with this change of temperature and wet and dry, the wood will age better. So for today will be easy done, and then the tree can have years ahead to just age the Deadwood. Good question today, very good. I like to have a nice and entertaining public. Remember to finish all the lines with the small one. So also this guy, and eventually you can stop here, and then from some of the inside finish them. You see, you don't really need to reach the end. You will have something. We can a little bit over wire, but the important is I want to finish all the end with a thin one, because it will be easier in position. So as you can see, one of the tools that I use the most while I'm wiring and working on the tree is this black scissor here. So it's very cheap, again, Superfly Bonsai sells it, and it's pretty useful either to cut the wire while we working, and also while we work, if we find dead branches and eventually unnecessary one, we can always cut them. I most of the time hold on my hand like this. I also have, when I do refinement, so I tend to use a smaller wire, I tend to use a smaller one, so that both are very useful for this type of work.
I have someone asking, how do you how do you pluck shoots to thicken the foliage?
Sorry again, how
do you pluck shoots to thicken the foliage?
So the tree during the year has different type of growth. Generally talking, in spring the tree want to grow and extend, create length. So when we have to build the structure, these are the type of growth that we let grow. When, like today, we set the structure of the tree, in spring we have to start shutting down that energy. We don't want to do it straight away because we need to let the tree extend a little bit. So generally for junipers that have already a structure, what I do is I let them extend, first flash a little bit, and maybe early June, after that first flash, I go back and I prune. So I clean eventually the inside, I prune the strong parts, so then the tree is reusing that excess of strength to put energy in the inner part, that are the part that we need to build the volume on the pads. Then again, the tree, according to your weather condition and where you are. It's going to normally shut down in summer when it's more hot, and then have another flash in autumn. Generally, the flash in autumn is more for the volume rather than for the elongation. So that flash we need also to manage, create more volume, and eventually help to thick up the branches, because it's the period when the tree is creating wood. So we need to be careful on the wire, because generally after summer the branches tend to grow, and eventually in a short time of period, like a week, 10 days, that branches can be pretty bad marked by the wire.
When collecting old Yamadori, such as this, is there a way to clean it before you bring it back from bacteria, viruses, parasites, and other potentially harmful fungus?
So the preventive on trees in general is always important. We know there are periods where fungi disease and pest disease are higher, especially spring. Or, for example, if we keep our trees in the greenhouse during the winter, because there is a little bit of excess of moisture inside of the greenhouse, we have also to protect the tree giving preventive treatments. There are different types of fungicide and pesticide. We can always, my advice is always to alternate when we grow the trees. So eventually some fungi can't get resistant to a certain active principle, and changing that principle, we can take care of a bigger range of disease that the trees can have. Obviously, we have to be careful after, for example, a styling like this one. We don't want the tree to get weak and eventually get attacked either by fungi or some bugs. So we need to treat. Generally at home, after I style a tree, I water it with a liette, that is a radical fungicide, and I spray with another pesticide that is a Reldan, so I can eventually clean the tree. And especially when we prune a tree and we create little breaks, some fungi can go inside of the tree. We can also spray a foliar fungicide to clean and eventually help the tree to recover. While we wire everything, the goal is to open all the branches flat out. We never wire a branch, especially a structural branch, in the position where it is, but we always try to bend it down while we wire, so we make the wire very effective on the branch. And also doing this in the moment we're going to go through the branch and start setting the pads, we have already everything nice and open. Piece of wire. So I go through all the thicker wire along the tree. So I have a couple of big branches here. So always thinking about the direction I'm bending the branch, I will wire them. So here I have one branch that is going to go forward and have the apex, another branch that is going to go back. So I can match them together, going around the main trunk and wire them in the exact direction I want them to go. This guy, as you see, can already start seeing the branch from the side. I'm pushing already more or less in the direction I want the branch to be. So the wire will be already doing its work. And then we don't forget that we can always help the thick wire with some guy wire to go the extra mile. Any question? No question. Very good.
Jeremiah Lee says, I hear Mauro use superhuman strength to collect this. Would you please bench press the tree to demonstrate? Guess it's not really a question. No other questions.
That actually brings me back to the day we collected this tree. And after we worked 4 hours to be able to take it out on the ground, moving boulders and try to reach those long tap roots under. And actually some of them were in such a narrow position, we couldn't use a hand saw and either the electrical saw. We have to use a special saw that is like, you know, the chainsaw of one electrical chainsaw, but you put around the root and then just holding the two parts like a rope outside, you are able to a little bit work to cut a root that is in such a narrow and deep hole position that you can't use any hand tool. So we was like covered in mud, all the four arms full of blood because you reach down crazy places with rocks and pieces of Deadwood sticking on you. So we have still to bring this tree up to the hill. So I remember that Ned was holding a couple of these long branches, like horns, up on the hill, and I had the tree from this section where the root ball was. I lift the tree, and then we start pushing everything up. And I said, until we die, come on, until we die. That's the thing. I come from rugby, so, you know, I was used to train in pain. But this every time is an adventure. I love to go collecting. It's like, it's really my sickness. And, you know, I love the challenge of collecting these beautiful old trees successfully, made them survive and create beautiful bonsai, and, you know, make me feel alive.
How was this tree handled after collection? Did you put it in pumice, keep it in the greenhouse with misting?
So, what my friend Ned does, he has behind his house a shade cloth. So those trees get protected by direct sun for the first year. And we pot the tree in pure pumice, as you can see. Only pure pumice. Because either way, you bring home a little bit of the original soil that is dirt. So you want to have the new roots growing in the most early soil possible with a lot of oxygen, because roots, fine roots, loves oxygen, and they love the change between water that go through the particle and the oxygen after they go through. So in that way you can have always the root ball wet and dry, and this change make the nice new roots to go and discover all the new container. Obviously, the pumice doesn't hold any nutriment, so we know that we need to fertilize after the first year of growth a little bit more frequently than what we do when we start switching the root ball from pure pumice to, for example, what we use normally here in US, 1-1-1 Akadama, pumice and lava, or what I use in Italy, 1-1, so 50-50 Akadama and pumice, because the Akadama is able for the ionic exchange to hold the nutrients particles, so we can fertilize less, also because while the tree get in shape, he need less fertilizer than when we have to build line, as I said before, and also in, for example, less percent of nitrogen. So basically, what we're gonna do in a year or two when we start pushing this tree from this container to the next one will be remove hopefully total what was left from the original soil and one good part of the pomace and start putting the tree in the mix that we want for the future of the tree. Okay, so this is done. This guy. Any question, Mike? Perfect. Show your t-shirt. So, I need another bigger piece of wire that I can find. Yeah. We got the missing one. Yeah, I think I need, if this is 8, I need 10.
I think that's 6, isn't it?
Is 6?
The total net paper we have on it.
Okay, so I need 8. I can use this one. Use a piece of this one. So I keep going with the structural wire, and I normally like, when I work with the partner, I like to do all the structural wiring myself, and he can follow me and do the fine wire because I know the direction I'm gonna bend the different branches, so I can set already the main wire clockwise or counterclockwise according to those directions. And you can just follow me inside outside, wiring inside outside to get everything nice and clean. Yeah, so going back at the, I still have to finish that reply about the aftercare. So there is this shade place that has sprinkles to create this fog. It's not watering, it's just to moisture the tree. So basically, when you collect a juniper like this, the energy of the tree is only on the foliage because you give and you cut so much top roots that you end up almost with no roots. Those American junipers, either Sierra, most of the time, sometimes we are lucky we can get a nice root ball, but other time when they can shoot some taproot, you end up with a very small amount of roots. But again, because juniper's strength is on the foliage, the goal for the aftercare after collecting is to hold and keep as much moisture as possible in the foliage. So what Ned does is set a timer to fog these trees 5, 6, 7 times a day. So every couple of hours, the tree gets misted. So the foliage that is active still, even if the root they are not, is able to absorb moisture from the air. That is a natural process that those trees does in nature when is, for example, the dry season in summer, and they are in the desert or either in the mountain, and there is no rain for 3 months in a row. But in the morning, when there is this exchange of temperature between night, that is normally very cold in the desert, and day, that gets super hot, we have what in Italy we call punto di rugiada. So the little particle of water deposit on the tree in that moment, and the tree from the foliage is able to absorb the moisture. Otherwise, obviously, if the will be from what they can absorb from the roots, the tree will just die. What's happened, some of these trees shoot very, very long taproots down to the ground, and sometimes they even not find water, but they use those roots to dissipate all the heat and of the sun they accumulate during the day, and having the roots down in the ground, they release that extra heat. Otherwise, they kind of can cook themselves. So that's the secret of making these old big tree to survive. And as I said, they have the capacity of regrowing a lot of fine roots from the base of the live lines, and this helps then the tree to reestablish the normal sucking moisture from the ground, sending the moisture up to the foliage does the photosynthesis, create the elaborate sap, and then the sap goes down and eventually produce new foliage and produce new roots. So basically that's the goal of this tree. So we're gonna keep rolling this demonstration a little bit more, and then we're gonna do a little break. So during the break, we're gonna finish wiring, and then we're gonna just go back to the demo to set the final setting of the tree. So we keep rolling. So any question is welcome.
Do you think any misting would be beneficiary to European juniper species like
Sabina?
Phoenicia?
Phoenicia. Yeah. As I said, every juniper, and in Europe already, people collecting European juniper, Phoenicia, Phoenicia turbinata, Sabina rastrera, Sabina, in general, they use misting or eventually watering the foliage and not the roots for the surviving of those trees. So it is already a technique that we generally do in Europe already.
And can you just recap the species of the tree you're working on?
Sorry?
Just go over the species of the tree again, please.
This is a Sierra juniper, so a juniper typical from the high elevation mountain in the Sierra Nevada, and Sierra juniper actually is the high elevation juniper that we can find here in US. In some part we can find also Utah juniper, because it's a kind of a sub-variety of the California juniper, but the Utah juniper can get much better the cold in winter. Obviously Sierra is a really high mountain juniper. They are used to cold, they are used to freezing soil, and so they don't have any issue with cold during winter.
Mel out of Hawaii wants to know what other special tools you take with you when you're collecting.
So when I go for junipers, definitely I have with me an electrical sawzall and a hand saw to cut the main big roots. I have a big rebar because most of the time we need to move big rocks somehow to get trees out of the ground, or when we dig, we find a lot of rocks, especially in these places. There are a lot of rolling rocks. This is also another thing why we find these deadwoods so amazing, between those rolling rocks and the big amount of snow that fell on the trees in winter, and in spring those trees they have all the pressure of the snow. That's the reason they are so bent and gnarly. But I have how you call it, hammock? Hammock.
Hatchet, maybe.
No, it's like he has like a pick. Pickaxe. Yeah, he has a pick on one side and an axe in the other side. So a pickaxe to also dig around, and a lot of energy. I try to bring a lot of energy, because you can go on my YouTube channel and find actually a video I posted, I think was November of last year. Is the name of the video is Sierra Juniper Collecting. That is about all the process of collecting a bigger Sierra Juniper that we collected last year, and actually I had the good news that this spring already start popping up and growing. So that will be one of the future trees I will looking forward to work here in US. It's kind of this size trunk, completely hollow, but more or less this high. Fantastic tree. Actually, that tree was growing in a natural rock pocket, so we almost haven't cut any roots, differently from this one that was in the field between big boulder. That one was in a natural pocket, so when we cut some roots that generally hold the tree in position, and we move a boulder that the tree was kind of pushing against, and actually the tree along the year took the shape, because this boulder, that is amazing thing to think, we was able to successfully dig the tree. The tree had a lot of roots, but still those roots go in stress when you collect the tree, so it's very important anyway to do the misting and keep the original root ball that has a lot of dirt as dry as possible. Otherwise, if you start watering the root ball as the tree is a normal bonsai, you start killing those roots, because that dirt doesn't allow the oxygen to stay between them. So it's better keep the roots dry and moist at the front.
Do you know how long Ned misted? Was applying mist?
So normally what Ned does, he mist, we collect in autumn, so he mists the tree along all winter time, eventually stops if the temperature go below 0 for European, or below 32, 35 Fahrenheit, so we don't want, shoot water that can freeze on top of the tree. And generally, until we don't see sign of growth, we keep misting. That's basically the general rule. So now I finish the structural wire on this back part. I still have 1 and 2 branches that I need thick wire on. So I'm gonna go a little bit heavier on the branch that I will use to build the frontal apex. You can turn again my phone. So again, here, try to create the U connection, go around, and go to the next branch that is here. So I'm lucky I have this branch. I want to fill this space, start growing here. So clockwise, this branch that would be bending gently forward, counterclockwise, so I can match them through this anchor in that section of the trunk. Remember, when you manage thick wire, the important thing is the leverage, so don't be greedy and cut short pieces of wire. Eventually have a little bit more that you need, but this will help you a lot with the leverage and with the twist, so you can make nice steps and very compact steps up to your branch. And then when you reach the size of the branch where the wire is too thick, you just remove that section. Any other question? What's the time, Andy? It's 11.
11:41.
So we're gonna still go live another 15 minutes, and then we do a break at 12. We catch up some lunch, and we're gonna go back online at 2 o'clock East Coast time. That means, I don't know, 2 o'clock will means +5 for, +5 from Central Europe means 7 o'clock European time, and will be for West Coast -3, that means 11 in the morning, so hopefully we catch up with the sleepers in West Coast. Okay, so this is done, beautiful. We have now all the structural wire on the tree. We have a lot of nice foliage, nice and compact. We're gonna wire through during the break, so we can be faster, so we can be on top of the wiring, and you can reconnect after a little bit to see. What I want to do is get all the tree wired and then start setting the branches. So I will do the setting, the second part of the demo, opening everything, creating the first structure. I'm pretty happy already. See how I already move most of the foliage. I had a lot of energy from these guys and these guys that this year I will improve them to grow and kind of extend another 10 centimeter, 4 inches to fill this space, but slowly we want to frame all the tree. We create a nice, beautiful canopy for this bonsai. Let me see if there is any more question. Un bacio a mia moglie, Mariangela, che mi sta guardando. Ti amo. Mi manchi, Mariangela. Sorry, guys. Happy wife, happy life. Okay, beautiful. Still have a branch here. Okay, so I can just wire. Any more question, boss?
Not yet.
And I'm very happy. We have really, now that we are opening everything, I really feel we have a lot of beautiful branches in all the way up to the top to create a nice, solid structure. And so the work for the next year will be only to improve inner budding and developing more finer vegetation. It's good that the tree is so thick, as we said originally, and this foliage is kind of matching the overall size of the final bonsai we want to get. So it's good.
Can I eat pizzas for lunch, hopefully?
Sorry?
Someone asked what's for lunch.
Pizza!
I did order pizza.
Hawaii pizza.
I did order Hawaiian pizza.
You did already?
I did, yeah,
Good
very
job, my friend. You know my taste. I'm only allowed to eat Hawaii pizza when I'm in the US. If I order in Italy Hawaii pizza, they kick me out and they get my passport. It's forbidden to have pineapple on pizza in Italy.
And that's understandable.
Yeah, you know. Beautiful.
Then I can't read the Italian
Comment,
questions.
yeah, you can learn Italian if you start wiring.
Oh, don't worry, I'll be wiring. Just not today.
This time.
We're on 47.
Okay. So basically, for this section of the work, we are done. Keep up the question for later, and we see each other again in 2 hours. So thank you for watching, guys. I hope it was good, and see you later for the final steps. Hello guys, we are back. Almost done with the wiring. Now we finish wiring the apex there, and then there are a couple of more branches in the back. So I can start pushing down and creating the first pad. I turn also a little bit the tree so you can better see which one is my front, my angle, this part in the front a little bit, focusing on that. Nice twist of the live line. Something I can do now while I'm waiting Mike to finish that. I'm going to carve a little bit more down this shari. In the future, this line will pump up much more on this branch. We'll pick it up, and I can clean just a little bit more that section. So, don't want to disturb the liveland too much. I want to, leave the time the liveland to rebuild his way up. As I said, this branch originally last year was still alive. We just chopped this off in September to give more energy to this section and squish down the tree together. So I want to find a nice anchor point, probably digging a little hole in the pot and stick the wire in. Do you have a screwdriver, Andy? I can drill here or eventually put a screw. The pot is pretty thick.
What is that? Is it like
Flour.
yeah, but what's it made of?
It's a little piece of longer. I don't know, it's like plastic kind. Yeah. Perfect. So, I need a longer piece of wire. Easy. It's fine. Can you just help me one moment, Mike? On the other side, yes.
Lee, this is a Sierra Juniper collected in Northern California by Mauro.
Now you twist around the screw. Just not sticking out. Perfect. Okay. So we bend down the first structural branch, creating the nice line. And now I need to find out the outside layer of the pad and start building my structure. And then on top of that structure, I will build a little bit of volume using the inner shield. I have a nice branch here. We can move outside. Actually, I need my black scissor. That is here. Take some fine wire in case I need to hold a little bit of some line. I have a little bit more refinement in the end. Any question, Andy?
Not currently.
Good. You use too much wire. You can use any.
You told me not to use this.
Who?
You told me not to use this.
No.
Did you forget that whole conversation?
When?
About heavier wires to support?
See, but no. Sure, to support the long line. That was not meaning like not wire the thin one.
Yes.
Yes.
Hector wants to know where the dance music is.
No dance music today. Otherwise we have to pay, how you call it, Andy?
Royalties.
Royalties. I had already a check yesterday for the previous live I did. No. I have a bill. No, a check. Hopefully I have a check. I have a bill to pay. No. No more dance music.
Really?
No, they shut down the music. I mean,
On YouTube, yeah.
no, YouTube, on Facebook.
Oh, really?
I got a message that the music was shut down because was not allowed to blah blah blah. Bullshit.
Yeah, I had that happen to me on my Facebook channel.
You see it?
Actually, I think what they did is they put ads in, and all my music now goes to, I don't know, somehow benefits somebody or something.
So, when I build the pad, I open all the lines, create the outside shape, and then I fill in with the other smaller branches to create a little bit of a volume, as you can see. So I still have these guys up, because as soon as I finish my line, my outside line, I will put them down and create the volume I need. So I have this branch that is a little bit longer, but is holding a lot of strength. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try to save as much as I can. See, so I just shorten here and still have a good final branches to create my line, and still have this guy can use here for a little bit of volume. This guy go down. The good thing of working with new foliage on the tree is that everything is just 2 years old mainly, and very nice and flexible. So you don't have to bend old branches and risk to break them, but you just create a brand new structure with the nice new branches that developed with good fertilizer and water when the tree, after the tree was collected.
There's probably some new people here that are asking where you found it.
So you know the story.
Yeah, Mauro collected the Sierra Juniper in Northern California and the Sierra Nevadas. If anyone has any questions, feel free to type them in.
Yeah. Questions in any language are more than welcome. We have here Andy that knows 5 languages, can read, translate, reply.
And someone asked if they missed why the tree was moved to the left.
So we can sit down.
Yeah, the tree was a little bit too much. In this I had space to work on the first branch with these, you know, my tools and everything, so we move a little bit the tree that direction. Good observation.
Mm-hmm. Raphael says, I was under the impression that Marvel was going to bring some of the branches around the back to occupy the negative space between
Yeah, that's about done.
the two trunks.
Yeah, I already moved this guy. I will push a little bit more, and I already moved this guy here. Obviously, as I said, they are still short, so the goal will be let grow and extend a little bit more the end along this ear to gain more length, but we already start moving this branch towards the trunk to fill this negative space. It will be a little bit more evident at the end of the styling when I will set those branches and push them down a little bit. Obviously, as I said, they are still a little bit short, so we have to be patient and wait the tree to develop. So being this a pretty massive tree, in terms of the trunk size, I want to create a nice, important first branch. If this tree would have been thinner, I could divide this branch in different pads, probably 2 or 3. But for now, I want to create a nice, strong first branch. That's the reason why I'm keeping everything more or less together. Still, in time, when we're gonna gain more volume and finer foliage, we can still go through and subdivide this pad in other lines. But for now, I'm more interested on the structure, being also this a first styling. Can be a little bit more, you know, less refined on the volumes, but I want to really put in the right position all the thick branches so I don't have to touch them anymore. As I said originally, you need to be careful on removing, after this styling, all the branches developing from the crotches, because we don't want them to suck away the energy from the ramification that now is wired. We want all these foliage to get nice sun and light and develop a good thick foliage. Obviously now the tree obviously look a little bit sparse because from a branch that was growing up, we push it down and open everything kind of flat. But that's the way to do on the first time.
Roy is asking if you ever worked on a looks like common juniper.
Common? Well, we have some common juniper in Italy.
Juniper communis.
Communis, yes. I don't really like them much. They tend to be a little bit strange on accepting wiring, and also on repot. If you touch too much the roots, they don't like it. So it's not really the type of tree that I love to work with. I have some Communis alpina back home that I graft with Itoegawa because they have very good trunks, but again the foliage is not the best. So you see already I formed the first pad, good structure, good movement, good live line. Here, opening these, we can already see the nice twist of the live line going up to the top. Now I need to move from the back part some of the branches to create steps up to the top here. So I'm going to work on this branch and create an intermediate step here. And when I will push this guy forward, I will use also this branch, and I have a couple of branches that I will let develop for the future to frame this space between the first branch and the upper part of the trunk. So the next one would be this guy here.
Just want to ask about the pot again.
It's a beautiful pot.
No, they want to know what kind of pot you want to put in. I keep asking those.
So, first of all, the question about the pot, as I said this morning, probably in the future we're going to put this tree in a nice kind of a rectangular pot, a little bit high, having this branch so low. I want to give this feeling of a very compact tree, very strong and masculine with all that deadwood in the front, and so that probably will be the final decision for the pot. And I want to also thank all the people sending messages about my family back in Italy. My family is good, they are at home, they are safe, they stay home and respect the quarantine that now we have in Italy, and hopefully this situation will get better soon, because you know, it's pretty sad to see so many people heal back in Italy, and really, hopefully, everything can be solved soon. So, on my way up, I still have to put a couple of pieces of wire to hold some of the branches. As I said, we don't really want to cut all the foliage that is weak. We want to try also to use some branches and giving support that branches can get stronger. So, are we doing with questions?
No questions right now.
I want to hear some Italian question to practice and is Italian. Come on. Or German. Or Mike. Mike knows German.
Phil's asking if you can show where you envision the apex being.
So, more or less this high, I hope I will be able to push this guy down and use eventually the outside section to build another extra branch, and some of these guys will become the end of my apex. As I said, I want to build a very squished down tree, very, very compact. So all the tricks that I can make this tree as compact as possible, I will use. This is left. We need to finish this part after we finish that. Okay, so also this branch is in a good position. Let's push down this guy now, and then I can start working on the opposite side. While I bend down the branches, I also try to give a little bit of movement. So from a very straight whip, push them down according to the direction of the wire, open, secondary, and move a little bit the line to create a nice line down. As for every branch, I start opening side branches. Some wire here. Question?
Dorothy asks how hard it is to find material like this.
So, let's say I was impressed from the amount of material I saw in this place where I've been collecting. In the opposite side, I was impressed how difficult it is to collect this material, because the way they grow most of the time between rocks, and you know how long sometimes you also have to walk to be able to bring them back to the car. So it's not really just so easy. So, but again, collecting a tree like this and made it to survive and grow well in a bonsai container is, to me is amazing. I mean, I'm so glad we was able to collect this tree. I will post later today on my Facebook page, I will post a picture of the day we collected this tree. And you can see what I said this morning, that this tree was so skinny in terms of foliage, didn't have much left, and you know, comparing the tree to now is unbelievable. In 2 years, how much foliage he was able to build up. Okay. So here we have another branch. Okay.
Someone's asking about changing the planting angle.
No, as I said this morning, I'm pretty happy about this angle. I like to have a nice strong base that goes from this guy, this section here, to the start of the live line down there. So I don't feel I need to change it. This has a nice flow to the left and still keep the visual strength of the tree. So, okay, now let's work a little bit in this part. So I want to see if I can move this branch forward and come down kind of in front of this gin. Put this branch there. These whips are pretty flexible, so again, while I'm pushing them down, everything growing underneath, I will remove to give more energy to the upper foliage that will nicely develop. Got this guy, we'll keep for frame later. And now I start moving this guy around. I have a piece of wire. I don't want to force on the wire or overwire a branch where it's not necessary. I will just anchor to this gin and then pull the branch forward as much as I can. You see we already have a nice line here that can still grow. And so when I work by myself, for example, I have to do a guy wire, I do the reverse guy wire. So I anchor to the gin, I go to the branch, I anchor to the branch on top of a big piece of wire, so I push against the wire, and then I can easily put the branch in position and secure the position with the guy wire. You can already see that I'm getting a little bit of length in this part. Still not enough for the final project, but with the strength these trees have, it will be easy to create foliage in the next year. Can use this branch for a little bit of same story, creating the pad, opening up the lines, using some foliage for the volume.
Mauro, in your experience, what is the approximate rate of Yamadori junipers that make it past collecting or past the first styling?
If you work on the tree safely, as we are doing today, I have no doubt that this tree will survive the first styling, also because, as you can see, this was not at all a traumatic for style for this tree. We just basically opening down branches and creating lines. So actually we're doing the tree a favor because we are taking away the how do you say in English, competition between the different part to be the leader, and we're pushing everything down and opening, so the tree actually, the green is getting much more light. The surviving rate for, you know, the trees collected in nature, it depends about your aftercare. So far, with my experience with Sierra, we was very, very lucky. We had almost 100% of surviving rate for the tree we collected. This is another thing to say. If I go in the mountain and I find a tree, but I don't feel the tree have enough chance to survive, I let it there. I don't collect it. Is a waste in terms of the tree itself, is a waste of energy, is a waste of time. So I prefer to collect the trees that I feel they have a high chance of surviving. This is especially, I mean, I collect really a few trees a year in US. I most of all collect in Europe, in my place. So that was always my philosophy, to just leave the trees that I don't feel they have enough chance to survive. So you see, pushing down everything, creating nice spacing, opening up the vegetation, pruning a little bit back if some branches is unuseful, if something is growing underneath, a little bit cleaning the underside of the pad. Okay, start having a nice branch in that position. Obviously, the goal is that this guy grow to here, this guy reach a little bit this level, but will be very, very easy with the strength that these branches have, and especially, as I said, after we open everything. I have another couple of branches here. Can start moving them down. You see, I'm more interested on cleaning the inner part of the foliage that eventually is weak, or the part that is flopping down, and keeping the outside foliage that will keep calling energy and develop, to create a little bit more thickness on the branch and more structure. Any question, Andy?
No. No.
Beautiful. So you see, I use the upper part, stronger part of the apex to push down and create another branch in this direction, because I have enough green here that I can use to build a nice top under this kind of tangent, and also showing this one in the back. And still I have a lot of branches there. I have this guy that my plan is to push forward and help in this back part of the apex. So I have kind of two branches working to make the apex nice and compact. So as you can see, from your angle, the idea is to go up and step all the time up to the apex, create a nice line, fill up the volumes. Remember that, again, this is only a first styling, so the primary intention is to set the structure of the tree, and then we can always go back in the next year and reselect some branches, get some more branches to grow and to create more foliage. These frontal branches are very important because, as you can see, they are filling in pretty nicely. The space between the lower pad and the upper part. So, I'm taking care. As you can see, my technique is pretty easy. Push down the branch, give the movement, and open. I try to touch the branches as less as I can, so I don't give too much stress. And especially the little guys, I'm very gentle to not tweak them, especially against the armpit, because juniper, especially on the first style, are a little bit sensible on the armpit, so you can risk to really damage a lot of foliage if you kind of try to open the foliage against their natural movement. So now I keep that section up, try to frame a little bit here where I have the gin with some green, because I need to keep having my line going up and kind of build my apex around the deadwood in the top, so I can take away the strong look of the top and have the green around it. And as soon as Mike will be done with the back branch, no pressure. Sooner or later it will be done. I can also work a little bit more at the back of the tree, and then as last step I will finish the apex. Generally, I like to work around the tree, especially when I work a big tree, but in general for every tree. I like to start from the lower branch and then kind of working with spiraling up. This will give me really the idea building these, because we build a triangle, but that's just the triangle we see from the front. But basically, going around the tree is like a cone of green that goes up and end up with the top. So working my way like in a spiral move helped me a lot to always keeping check all the different lines, because again we don't have to forget that we have also a nice line starting from the lower back and going up to the front, side, side, and also forward. We start with the first branch outside and then we go up to the apex. Also, even if the apex would be a little bit more facing the front. Question?
We might have covered this a little earlier, but Abraham's asking, he said that the tension looked very young at the top compared to the Deadwood on the trunk. Would it be better to make them shorter?
I want to keep this gene this high for the moment. The green will be here, and then I also figure out that we have to think about the future evolution of the tree. So this tree is going to produce more foliage, produce more volume, so the look of the foliage will be not so skinny as it is now, will be more dense. So basically, maybe the best would be having the apex in this position. And about the younger look, as you noticed this morning, we was breaking down the gene was much higher, and to have it aging a little bit more, we could have been use the fire to burn the fibers, or some people sandblasted the Deadwood, or I still think that as we have the idea here that this part was alive 2 years ago, this would age pretty quick. So in a couple of years, it would be almost matching the original Deadwood. Another question?
Just another question about protecting the Deadwood.
Oh.
And what you use to protect it.
So yeah. So I would like to take another couple of minutes to talk about Superfly Bonsai that is featuring this demo today. Having here, I want to thank, first of all, Andy, the owner of Superfly Bonsai here in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, superflybonsai.com, for having me here. I want to thank Mike, Birthday Mike, for the help today. Very precious help. And you know, unfortunately this year, this event that should have been an open event, we have to do just a live demo on the work on this tree. Hopefully all will be back in the normal soon, and next year Andy can have a beautiful open house with a lot of people that also maybe today they find out about Superfly and they want to visit. Here at Superfly you can really find all the goodies for your bonsai passion, and from soil to tools, everything. And actually I want to also show you in a minute the new tools roll that Andy got, that is very, very useful. I got that roll many years ago on my travel, and then I advised Andy to have it done for his business, because it's super useful and great. Now that I finished this branch, I can show you. So, is a leather tool roll, very strong and perfect for traveling. I use it all the time. Actually, I had mine with my cymbal here, and this is the perfect size for a good set of tools. You can buy this by itself, or you can buy the set. So if you go on the Superfly Bonsai website, you can find also this set, and it's very, very nice. We just put on the website also the t-shirt, the Bonsai Dream t-shirt. So if you go there, we have already a lot of people sending us messages. They saw this morning, and they want that. They are $30 each. You can order and get them shipped through the website, very easy, or send just a private message to me or to Andy through Facebook, easy done. Okay, so we start getting there. Not bad. Huh, Andy? Not bad at all. When I have a solid line on the apex, I always try to push it down the last part to create a part of the lower section of the apex and use some of the inner branch to close it. And as I said, you see here I have my triangle going up, so basically I will follow these two lines here and build up the apex that I think I visualize now will be more or less this high. And then I will use this other branch from the back that I already wire counterclockwise, so I can bend around and frame all this space between kind of these two lines. Nice. Let me have a little bit of water. Any question?
When you're done drinking, looks like Carl asked what the time frame to get into the pot would be.
So, what we're going to do, we're going to fertilize nicely this tree this year, let it push out, control some of the part that, you know, we are pretty happy about the length, let grow some other part. Eventually, in July, June, after the first flash, when we prune some part, we can also put a couple of pieces of wire in case we have to redirect some of these strings, some of these lines. Check always about something developing from the armpit, get rid of them, and then next spring, hopefully we can go through, recheck what we have underneath, and eventually reshort some of the taproot that were chopped when the tree was collected, and put the tree either or in the final pot or in the next pot, just shorting the height of the container. So this is basically the schedule we figured out for this tree. Which language?
It's English. I'll give it a try. I'll come through in another language.
So the question is about when I collect trees and I have a lot of deadwood, if I remove the rotting deadwood. So it's always good, you can see here some sign of rotting part. You see there is a hole here in the front that is making a nice little face. That part was probably rotting and was cleaned already, so we don't want the deadwood to keep deteriorating after we collect the tree. So eventually, if some part is very bad or some deadwood was under the soil level, as for example was the section here, we was lucky we planted the tree a little bit sideways, so this part can stay up and slowly dry out and be preserved. But again, my advice is always to take care of the deadwood that eventually is rotting. because it can also go through the other good deadwood. So either way, spraying or removing or using wood preservers, wood hardener, lime sulfur, whatever you want. Luckily, this tree was growing in a very dry place, so most of the deadwood is super strong, as you can see. So not many parts that were too fragile. Yes?
I would like to know why you chose to have the first branch go in that direction instead of towards the deadwood.
So I didn't want to create a branch crossing in front of what is the front of my tree and create a point of confusion when I look at the deadwood. I want to follow the natural movement of the live line connected to this branch and move that branch to the left because it's also the overall movement of the main line of the trunk. So you can see main line of the trunk go to the left, first branch to the left. This gene has also a nice twist to the left following the overall direction of the tree. Okay? You done? Thank you, my friend. Ah! So now Mike is done. I can work a little bit on the back branch. I lost my scissor. Can I have yours? Thanks. So as I said this morning, this branch was pretty much in position. I didn't want it to overwire it. I just put the secondary wire, so now you can anchor on the gene behind and just push the branch a little bit down and start creating the back of my tree using this branch and using all the green I have here. Very, very happy about very happy about how many branches we have available for this first styling. Yeah, a lot. Very good. And basically, as you see, we haven't cut basically any branch, just clean. We kept as much as possible. Also, because I always consider that because the first styling is also a little bit of a stress for the tree, if I can use as much as I can the original foliage without removing much foliage, the tree will be stronger, and in a shorter amount of time, it will be able to recover from the work, and it doesn't need too much time to rebuild that energy and that strength that he had originally, because the nice foliage is keeping high the demand of energy from the roots and water from the roots. Don't like to be over aggressive when I style a tree, especially for the first time. I prefer to prepare the tree for the styling, eventually by, as we did on this tree, removing some top part of the branches. Maybe we did like 6 months ago, so the tree can already redirect the energy in the parts that we really need. And the other thing is these help a lot the tree stress-wise. Other times, for example, if I have to do a severe bending, I also do it maybe a season before the main styling of the tree. That is also helping the tree to recover, and then I can work on the tree in total safe. Same story for the back of the tree. Start working from the lower branch and going up and building my steps up to the top. Always pushing down the branches and opening everything flat. Then eventually, if there is some inner foliage, create a little bit of volume. Now I have this branch has to go down and then come back sideways. Again, I don't want to force on the wire, so I'm going to do another kind of a reverse guy wire anchoring here. So you can keep pushing down the branch. I can either go inside of a gap of the wire or just on top of one of the spiral and push against, so I don't risk to create a problem to the live. Any question, Mike? No question, beautiful. Okay, just down. So always down and then relift up the little branches. Check front. Yeah. You see we have between these space, you see the back branch here. Very important to create depth. These guys. A few little branches. Put a piece of wire. Give a little bit of an hold. And slowly we get in to the top.
How long will you leave the structure wire on?
So, my advice is always feed the tree stronger the first year. Keep thinking is a material that has to develop, and let a little bit the wire, the structural wire, to bite in, and after, you have to check branches that got a little bit more severe bending will probably thick up faster. So you have to always keep an eye on the tree. So probably this section here that was bended down and is also apical, and also the main branch that we twisted down and put in position. So they will tend to thick up faster. So in probably 3, 4, 5 months, the wire will start biting in. According to the amount that the branch is growing, you can decide to just remove a section of the wire and keep guide wire, or eventually remove all the wire and then put another piece of wire to hold the position. Holding the position of the structure, according to the different type of tree, need years. For example, with my experience on Scots pine, they hold the position pretty fast. Juniper, they need 2-3 years to really set the primary structure. So I always like to let bite in the wire a little bit. It's not like the Cidus, where we are afraid about the wire scars, that they, it's difficult to make them disappear. A conifer is always willing to thick up the branches, and those scars will go away. Yes, Andy?
Do you use any kind of hormone on collected Yamadori? Root hormone.
Root hormone. I did in the past back home, but I haven't found a very big difference between using and not using. Most of all is knowing the best way how to collect the tree and to aftercare a tree. So, as I said, basically, we are always related, either for pines, for example, we are related to the amount of roots we are able to collect, and for juniper, the aftercare of the foliage. So I don't like to overstress the tree giving products. Some people were originally thinking, you can give an anti-transpirant that don't allow the tree to lose moisture. But then you close the cell of the wood, of the pores of the green, and the tree is just holding moisture, but it's not producing anything. You need to keep having the tree exchanging. And unfortunately, if you have a tree with no roots, like a juniper, you have to in somehow give moisture from them. But giving hormones, I don't think helps. Help trees of repotting. When we repot a tree that has already roots, if you want to give hormones on a pine, you want to give mycorrhiza, that is good. But on collected tree, I don't feel that make any difference, personally. The aftercare in terms of humidity and eventually sitting the trees on top of warm beds with pomace and the serpentine with a little bit of a heat, I think that helps more than eventually rooting almonds. Okay, so I can shape the frontal part of the apex, and then I will take care of the last branch there.
Mauro,
Yes.
somebody asked if you use any type of foliar spray, and if you do, what?
Yes, so I basically fertilize my tree in two ways. One is radical, normally using an avocado, biogold, prodigy, and other organic fertilizer. I don't fertilize chemical on the roots, I do only organic. And for foliar feeding, I spray my tree once a week with Superfly. So, and actually here we have the two versions of the Superfly. So we have the version that is already probably diluted with the dilution with water that you can directly spray on the trees. Or we have the solution that you have to mix with the water. I always buy this one, and a bottle of this lasts for me 1 year with the entire my collection. And every week from the start of the growing season all over the growing season to winter, also in summer when the trees still go a little bit dormant, I spray once a week that Superfly when it's sunny. It's the only product that I spray when it's sunny because the pores of the green are much open for the photosynthesis and they can catch the product better. I never spray either fungicide or pesticide when it's sunny because I risk to burn the tree, because most of the fungicide is based on methylene and oil, and pesticides are based on white oil, so you risk to burn the tree if it's a sunny. But Superfly, no problem. Okay, getting there. I always twig the branches in the direction they are wired. I never twig them against the wire because I always want the wire to tighten up to the branches. Are. Leave these guys up, so now I bend that branch around, fill this space, and then I can finish up the top. Again, on this one, I will need a guy wire, so let me move, actually, hold on. Move these guys forward for now. So we're gonna anchor on this jig. You can stay in that position, perfect. And I have a nice gap here that I left, especially for that. Yeah, go on top of this. No, just do one. Yes. And so that, yes, there. So it's gonna allow you to there. Go fix it for now. So we push the branch inside this section so we can easily, perfect, very good. Put this in position. Okay. Thank you, Mike. Put another couple of pieces on.
I have a question when you're ready.
I'm always ready for questions.
Does this type of juniper get a flaky trunk, and if so, do you agree to strip the old, dead, flaky bark to reveal the more beautiful red bark underneath? To strip or not to strip?
So, in nature, some of them, this is also according to the place where they grow, some of them has a pretty thick bark. Other ones that are a little bit more exposed, and especially they get snow on top, they tend to have a nice, cleaner bark like this one. We haven't cleaned the bark on this tree because I was feeling that was nice and kind of clean already. But generally talking, I'm one of the people that like to clean the bark on juniper, even if some of them has kind of a thick bark. but I like the contrast between the red bark and the color, the white grayish color of the Deadwood. So personally, I always clean the bark of the junipers. But I have nothing against if you wanna keep the bark in the natural way. I see junipers in Japan at the Kokufu with the bark on, and some other that they get clean. So.
I'm used to the borers, thick bark.
Sorry again?
With the thick bark, the borers, you can't see them.
Yeah.
Especially the first, clean them once, I think.
Especially, you know what, is about the eggs. So at the end of the season, giving a good clean on the bark of the juniper, you can eventually remove some eggs that beetles can put under. And first thing they do in spring, when the temperature rise up, they start digging on the liveline. So either, you know, spraying and cleaning, you can help the protection of the liveline.
Ned said he cleaned it.
Yeah, Ned always clean. He's always afraid on the boars. So he does a good job. He's the best boar for the cleaning of the bark. Good job, Ned. Well done. So I try to give nice space to all the branches from the top to develop. In the meantime, create nice volume. Start these ones and then sort of good, nice, strong branches to frame all around the apex. Still have this big guy. I'm going to try to use the wire and go around. Here we are. Put the pieces, a couple of pieces over there. Almost done, guys. Almost done.
Dorothy wants to know if you're going to show a round view of the finished tree.
Yeah, we're gonna do a video later where we put the final shot on the tree with good light and good background. We're gonna also show some details around. Few little branches that need to be wired on top, those famous floppy branches, but you need them.
Someone wants to know how much it actually weighs, and we will weigh it on the pallet scale after I pick it up next time. And we'll know exactly how much that thing weighs.
It's probably a tree that weighs, what, 300 pounds? Yeah, something like that. So in kilos, will be 150 kilos probably. Now with the pot and soil and everything. Yeah, not bad. A small, medium-sized bonsai. You can always go bigger.
Yeah.
Did you carry it out or sled it out?
No, we lift up on the hill for maybe 15 feet. It was not so far from the street, thanks God. But it was heavy, pretty heavy. Last few branches, we are done. Yeah. Not bad, baby.
You got that right.
Huh?
You got that right. So the goal is to grow out that second branch.
Sorry again?
One of the goals is to grow out that second branch on the left. Sorry, the second one above the main branch. No, the one above the main branch on the side.
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. A few more pieces of wire.
And Hector, yeah, I can do a virtual tour eventually. Follow me on my Facebook page, Superfly Bonsai, or Superfly Bonsai, and I will do a virtual tour in the next couple days.
So this tree, after this work, will go out full sun, no shade, to keep energy high and produce a lot of new growth. Keep growing. Don't shut down the light.
And Andrew, I believe Mauro stated earlier this would go into a large rectangle pot.
Exactly. This is what I said this morning. Large rectangular. Any question?
I got most of them, just somebody asked what shape again, but it's a rectangle pot.
Yeah. So guys, the styling is finished for now. Thank you again for following us on this adventure through this beautiful Sierra. Thank you, Mike, for the help. Thank you, Andy, for having me here. It's been great. I love to style this tree that I collected here in the US. I'm pretty happy, and you know, I'm sure you're gonna take good care of it and keep developing in a beautiful bonsai. And thank you guys. There is any question? No question?
Just about the weight, and it's roughly 300 pounds, 150 kilos.
Yeah. So remember, superflybonsai.com. Bye guys. Ciao.
Thank you. Have a good day.